Building a dominant offensive line is the secret to winning in College Football 25, but do you know what all those attributes actually do? Stick with me, and I'll show you exactly how to use this knowledge to dominate on the field. We'll break down every attribute, explain how they work, and show why they matter for building the perfect O-line. Let's get started. The attribute numbers a player possesses are directly compared to the opposing player's attributes during gameplay. When a matchup occurs, it's like a dice roll. Higher attributes give your player a better chance of winning that battle, whether it's holding a block, shedding a block, or executing a key move. Simply put, the better the attribute, the better your odds of a positive outcome in that moment. By understanding how each attribute works, you can build an offensive line that perfectly fits your scheme, whether you're dominating with power runs or protecting the pocket for deep throws. So finally, let's get into talking about what each blocking rating or lineman relevant rating does. So the first attribute is strength, and I look at strength as it's an important attribute, but it's to me it's more of a potential attribute. The higher your strength, the higher your potential and being successful in performing a block or pancaking and all that good stuff. The next attribute is just the base pass block. This pass blocking attribute only applies when simulating. The pass block power, pass block finesse, those aren't applied in simulations, just pass block and run block. So this one, if you're playing all your games, really doesn't matter. Next, pass block power. This one is important. As you can see, this is what's going to match up against a defensive lineman or a defender who's using a power move. This rating is going to dice roll with their power move rating, so it's very important. Again, especially important with interior linemen because most of the time you're going to have power move performers at defensive tackle, nose tackle, those interior positions. This also can kind of come into play with maybe a right tackle, left tackle too, but more so right tackles just because a lot of times your left end is more of a power blocker. The next is pass block finesse. It's exactly the same as pass block power, only with finesse move. So if you have a left tackle who's going up against a finesse pass rusher, their finesse move rating is going to dice roll with this pass block finesse. This is a lot more important for tackles. It is important for guards, maybe not so important for centers, just because a lot of times the center is going to be doubling left to right or head up over, or a nose is going to be head up over him, who's most likely not going to be a finesse rusher. So, this is a really important stat for tackles. The next one is run block, and this is, like I said earlier, it's exactly like the standard pass block. It is a simulation attribute. So whenever the game is looking at your offensive lineman's run block, when they're determining the simulation, they're looking at this rating here, not the other ones. So this is just a base run block simulation attribute. So this next one is run block power. And run block power has a dice roll against power moves. And basically, if a power move is being performed by a defender and it's a running play, it's going to look at this run block power attribute to see if the defender is going to win or lose that interaction. And the next one is run block finesse, and it is exactly the same as run block power, only instead of looking at the defender's power move attribute, it's going to look at the finesse move attribute to see who's going to win the interaction between the offense and defensive player. This next attribute is a little bit different than the other ones, and it's lead block. A lead block is going to be the attribute you want to look at when you're thinking about running a play where you have pulling linemen. So we're talking power, trap, buck sweep, toss, all those plays where you see the lineman pull backwards and then wrap around. Those are the plays where this attribute is going to come into play, and it's really just going to be the effectiveness of that player pulling and executing that pulling block. And our last rating is impact blocking. We kind of have to get a little bit more technical. Basically, this rating is used in a formula with like body weight and speed, and not the speed rating, but the actual speed in the game of both the blocker and the defender to kind of determine an outcome of moving blocks when they're like sprinting and you get that pancake. So this one's a very, very niche, mostly for, I would say, probably fullbacks and pulling guards or pulling linemen out in maybe even a screen, but most importantly is maybe if they're an uncovered guard and they're going to the next level and hitting a linebacker. I think that'd be the best application and what I would want the attribute for. So some key takeaways. When you're building your O-line, think of it like a puzzle. With tackles, we mostly want to prioritize finesse blocking ratings and generally have them be more pass-focused players. Our guards, we want to focus on strength and power blocking attributes, and speed if you would like to run a lot of power sweeps, things that have the guards pulling. And centers, I like prioritizing power blocking, awareness, and impact blocking, especially if the center's uncovered and he can get to the second level on a linebacker. I feel like that impact blocking makes a big difference. And, some mistakes to avoid. Don't just pick the highest rated player. I mean, this whole video has been kind of telling you not to do that. Match the attributes to the role that they play on your O-line. Be intentional when setting your offensive line depth charts. It's not only going to increase your on-field performance, but it's going to make you feel more connected to your team, and specifically to your offensive line, where we don't see their names a whole lot in-game. Now that you know how blocking ratings work, it's time to build your perfect offensive line. If you found this video helpful, please leave it a like, subscribe for more college football 25 tips, and let me know how you're going to build your perfect offensive line in the comments. Thank you. See you in the next one.